fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.
Hey, hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Expats Portugal show. How are you this morning? Hey, where's that banner for Monday mornings? Asking you how you're doing and whether you got up to anything nice at the weekend. Actually, sometimes not getting up to anything at all at the weekend is very nice. So do let us know what you've been doing, even if it's nothing, and that you thoroughly enjoyed that in the chat, if you will. Gilda here, of course, at 9 o'clock for Migration Monday. And do you remember last week talking to Gilda about the 8th birthday of EI? Hey, look, the champagne's really in that picture. I didn't notice that when I was looking at it. Gilda looks very happy. 8 years trading as EI, and we have a team photo there that she might talk us through. What do we notice about this photograph here? Don't think there are any fellas in the workforce there. As a school caretaker many years ago, I worked with entirely women. It is a special kind of atmosphere with only women in a workplace, I would say. Any experience of that? Anybody? T-Duck is in. Fantastic work, T-Duck, this morning. Appearing before. Oh, it's a 3-duck rating this morning. Still haven't quite understood this. Sometimes we get 2, sometimes we get 3, I think. But there are 3 ducks in a row. Coach Turner's in with the God Squad tip of the day. Gentle fitness for bon viveurs, helping you stay flexible whilst living the good life. Thank you, Ian. Also, what's James calling himself this morning? You can call me Slug. That's fairly straightforward, isn't it? Nice one. And of course, he will be joining us at around, well, probably in 5 or 10 minutes with thoughts from the Redwoods, the reflections of an American here in Portugal, from California, now in Ericeira, and a therapist by trade, among other things that he's done in the past. What a guy. And with insight and reflection, often quite deep, actually, on a Monday morning. We don't mind going there on a Monday morning, do we? Talking about the big issues and things that are important to human beings on the Monday morning. So see you soon, James. You can call me Slug, and you can read your own cue this when you arrive, maybe by way of an introduction to yourself for those who might not know you, which is hard to believe. Deagle also in has it been a dry Belfast? And a bit of currency. Oh, that's what I meant to do as well. I've got a currency report, obviously, with the pound the lowest rate ever, is it, against the dollar? Certainly, I heard over the weekend that the pound was facing 37-year lows. I think it's even surpassed it. Well, it's surpassing tends to be in a positive, doesn't it? Well, it's certainly dropping faster than Belfast rain. Thank you, Deagle, for that. Who also says good morning to me, Carl. Thank you for that, Deagle. And Gumpus from a dry but going to be a wet week. High winds brought down a few trees across Northern Ireland. Thankfully, no injuries. Well, that's good news, isn't it? That there were no injuries, at least. Jean's in as well. Thanks, Deagle. Jean's in as well. Bom dia todos. A feliz segunda-feira. The Westwood, New Jersey, over there in the United States. Great to hear from you, Gene, and Andy as well. Bon dia todos from the beautiful Bairrada. Hope you all had a fabulous weekend. What's Andy been up to, I wonder? Has he got himself a free lunch or a free T-shirt this weekend? I'm sure we'll find out. Deagle also, let's send, look at this, 33 years. Hold on a minute. Is it an anniversary or was it a celebration of engagement? So message number 1. It says, strictly speaking, message number 2, but it's a 2-parter here from Deagle. Out Friday evening for a meal with Minister of Home Affairs, 33 years engaged. How about that? Anyway, the hotel we went to in Belfast had a large party of Americans and Australian citizens doing a 7-day tour of Ireland. Do excuse me, I don't know why I'm finding that amusing. There is a lot of comic opportunity, is there not, with a coach loads of Americans and Australians. Those two cultures together, I think there's a lot of comic mileage in that already. Anyway, let's find out what happens. A tour of Ireland. Tour rep explains we will go to various places, stay in different hotels, see great sights, plenty of photos, etc. Then an American pipes up. that's an unusual accent. What part of Ireland? What part of Ireland? And they were hearing Australian and thinking it was Irish. Gee, that's a strange Irish accent there. Good day, mate. Oh, and a question for Gilda from the Global Nobles. Then, question for Gilda. We're 9 weeks out from the SVFS. Oh, San Francisco VFS. You confused me there. Come back. That's not actually a question, is it? That's a statement. But good for you. I'm thinking. Nom de plume finished off your story. Oh, here's the end of that story. The Americans and the Australians together. She giggles. I'm not Irish. I'm Portuguese. There you go. I'm not Irish or Portuguese, from a city between Lisbon and Porto. She's from Tamar. Turns out she's been an Irish rep for 3 years after 4 years in the UK. How lovely. I bet you went and said hello to her, didn't you, Deagle? And shared your love of Portugal with her. And now, talking of Tamar, this photo came up. This is on Tamar's own city Facebook page, I think. Let me just take that comment off there for a minute, Deagle. Look at this. I believe that to be inside the convent, and there were Templar folks wandering about. And I'm just in my mind's eye, I'm thinking of a Templar knight like this taking a call on a mobile phone, but not for these photos. Wristwatches off, modern shoes away. I wonder what sort of shoes they would have worn in those days. But there's a lovely interior of I think it's the convent, and Templar knights wandering about over the weekend. Bon dia from Trevor van der Schiff. Trevor comes, don't you, Trevor, occasionally on a Monday morning. Great to see you here. Farticos. There was a bit of I was going to say crosswind over the weekend, trying to get to the bottom. Sorry, of Fartico's restaurant that Garvo very kindly shared with us on Friday. Has anyone been there? Was anyone inspired to go there over the weekend after seeing that? Delta Screening is in. Good morning from Mirpur in Pakistan. Good morning to you. Did the Basako? Oh, excellent, nice one. Did the Basako water walk, which was magical. Then cycled to the coast and the Aveiro Canal Antique Flea Market. You cycled all the way from Korea-ish up to Aveiro. That's great. What are the cycle lanes like for that? Or did you go a lot on the roads there, Andy? What was that like? Please let us know. Truth of it all. Morning, everyone, from Maxine. How are you doing, Maxine? Pam's in as well. Great to see you here, Pam. What's going on over there in Alcobaça at the moment? I was just going through my pictures, and I saw your meet up in Alcobaça. Always feel free to let us know when that's happening, please. Jeff Hill's in as well. We had a picture of you, Jeff, from last week, of course, at the Porto meetup. How are you doing, Jeff? What's this? Howard. Oh, hi, Tricia. Tricia Lineback is in as well. How would a single widowed woman do if she moved on her own? Well, there are groups on the Expats Portugal's forum of solos sharing experience, and I think it's a great country to come to, a single solo. But of course, it will depend on your own individual circumstances, aspirations, and adjustments, Tricia. But you know where we are if you need help. Beyond your question there, I'll come back to that, because there may be singles who might like to answer that question. Do let us know what you think when you're answering Tricia's question there. Tricia Lineback, good morning to you. And Pam from Jean, awaiting my appointment at the Portuguese consulate in Newark a week from tomorrow to drop off documentation for my D7. Great news. Joe Diaz is in as well. How you doing, Joe? Great to have you here. I knew it. He used a little Portuguese poorly. Well, look, don't be too harsh on yourself, Deagle. You're among the best students here. But she was delighted at my attempt to speak Portuguese. What did you say? That's what we want to know. Pete's in as well. How you doing, Pete? Bon dia, Alegria. Were you grape cutting? I did get a picture from Philomena, which I think it was the collator, the grape harvest. People up to amazing things this weekend. Hold on a minute. Not enough Dr. Bayard's action this morning for me. Sorry about that. Laura P in as well. Bom dia, um pouco melhor ainda estou convosco. A little better. So I am here with you all. Laura P. What happened? Have you been poorly? And Victoria Benson. Hola, bon dia, kids from cool blue Algarvian skies. Very nice. Nice one. Global Nobles, then I'll save that question for later. Jeff Hill's in with a bit of like button monitoring going on as well. 29 watching, only 8 likes. Come on, smash that like button, Gumpers. We did have some other jingles that I'm going to use more of. What would be the like button jingle? No, that's not the one, is it? That's the Scooby-Doo mystery button. Morning, beautiful people, from Owen as well. How you doing? My first job was in a workplace with only men apart from me. It was an engineering apprentice, so the other way around there. Carlinhos from Nom de Plume. How you doing? Nom de Plumos. That doesn't really work, does it? And good morning. This is Pulkit from Chandigarh in India. Good morning, Pulkit. Are you here to ask questions of Gilda, I wonder, or just popping in to say hi? The Alcabasa meetup is every Tuesday. Okay, there you go. In the Green Park Cafe. The Green Park is fantastic, especially when you know what those funny shaped poles are for. They spray water, Pam. Did you know that? It's Monday, so it must be Paul Harrison. Yes, indeed. we can set our diary by you, Paul. Thank you for being here this morning. Great to have Paul here and everybody this morning. A nice full house. Very good. Nice to see everybody here this morning ahead of Migration Monday with Gilda. And I want to say hi to Bill. Thank you for sending this picky in, Bill. Just a few quick picks before we bring on James. You can call me Slug. That is, what is he? Let me just find the actual legend for this. Thank you very much. From Central Portugal, I think we can safely say this is Bill Moro sending this in from Salgueira de Lomba. That's a lovely scene, isn't it? I think that's one of those eco pools. And sorry to hear about the situation with Marcus, Bill. Out of breath and easily winded. I had a coughing spell that wouldn't go away, but had some good hospital treatment. So from the picture I'm seeing, a nice big smile on Marcus's face there, Bill. And do send the best from the Gumpers to Marcus for a speedy recovery. So thank you very much for sending in your picture. Joao F also sending in pickies for us. Look at that beautiful Mercedes convertible. I think we can safely say that's Qashqai. Oh, is it? I want to say Qashqai there. The Distinguished Gentlemen's Motoring Club event happened. I think we're going to turn that into a video because you sent me lots of lovely material there, Joao. As did from planes, trains, and automobiles. There's the automobiles. We haven't got any trains this morning, but we do have a very fast jet. Antonio F. at the Sintra Air Show. Would it have been the Sintra Air Show? I'll find out while I'm showing you this morning. Check this out. That's Sintra's airbase, and it's open day from Sunday. Also lots of video and stills. Not enough time to go into all of those, but maybe we can mash up the two F gentlemen, as it were, Antonio and Joao F, and the lovely footage you've sent me this weekend. We can maybe put that together. Well, maybe we do need some trains for a planes, trains, and automobile video. Who else has been sending in pictures? A couple of quickies then from Anna, out on a bit of a photo safari. Where were you for this one, Anna? I do like that a lot. That's an old runway down into the water, I think. It's seen better days. And you say, what do you say? Oh, yeah, Tavera. That's Tavera. Maybe somebody else recognized that. And then an old crane, very industrial. I do like that picture as well. Is that a jib? I do like the cut of your jib this morning, Anna. It's 8:45. We can't keep this man waiting. So let's play his tune and bring him on. Thoughts from the Redwoods after this. Twang. You like a twang on your opening, don't you? Good morning to you, James Holley.
Twang. Bon dia.
How are you, mate?
I'm grand, thank you. I have to say, you never keep me waiting because I'm always just enjoying the show, so I'm never waiting.
And it was lovely this morning, wasn't it? So many pictures, videos, lots of feedback from folks, and lots of people in this morning awaiting you and Gilda. What have you got for us this morning? I do like how you described yourself this morning. Grand. What a beautiful word that is.
Sometimes I run out of superlatives, so because as I've said before, I choose how I feel, and that's the choice I make. At any rate, I've just been itching to share an anecdote from yesterday, my 6-hour marketing day on Sunday that I shared, I think, last week. That Sundays are those hours of being out, and I've finally adjusted to that and learned to accept it and actually enjoy it now. So we
Well
were
done.
at Intermarché for lunch. And I had ordered my food and was waiting for the server to put the food on the plate and bring it back to me. And I heard to my right, which is behind me in the line, an American accent, or actually American English. And he was saying, "That one over there." And I turned around, and he was pointing to the dish that he wanted served. And then they always ask about salad, and you get 3 choices of, what 3 ingredients you want for your salad. And so I looked around when I heard that one there and saw him pointing, and I said, "Oh, okay, there's a fairly stereotypical 20-something surfer dude speaking American English." And so then I heard her say, "Ensalada," but she didn't speak English. It was clear to me she was trying, like, okay, how do he spoke English to me and I don't speak. So he points over to the lettuce and he says, "Over there." And she's like looking, "Which one?" And he says, "Yeah, the green one."
Come
So
on,
I
James.
realized, okay,
You've got to step in, haven't you? Come on.
yeah, I was just about to say alfas when he said the green one, and she figured it out. And I said, "Okay, well, I'm going to help if I can." And so the next, she says, "Imais," or "E," like what else? And he's pointing over to the corner bin, and she points to the cucumbers, and he goes, "Yeah, yeah." And I say, "Oh no," he didn't say, "Yeah, yeah." I heard him say cucumber. So I said, "Pepino." And she goes, "Oh, okay." She went to the corner and put the cucumbers on. And then I turned to him and he said, "Hey, thanks for your help." I said, "You're more than welcome. And now you get 3 choices. She's asked you for one more. What do you want?" And he said, "I wanted the carrots." I said, "So that's Sonora." And he said, "Sonora." And I said, "See." And so then she said, "Yeah." And he said, "Sonora." And so he went from that one to Sonora in the course of about 20 seconds because of the intervention. And it just felt really good. It felt so Portuguese to be able to jump in and help. I'm
Good man.
always at the other side of it where, people are speaking Portuguese. I have no idea what's going on. I need people to help me out to understand. So to be able to change the shoe, or so to speak, or put it on the other foot, was quite fun. So I just had to share that one. I was very excited about being.
Yeah, thank you. You know what it's like to be that surfer dude. We all do, don't we? Or most of us
Yes.
do here, and it's
Yeah,
lovely
and
to.
some of my very first vocabulary was produce and coffee and bread. I had to learn how to ask for those things, learn what they are. So those are pretty familiar to me.
What
So that, yeah.
what vocab did you? And on the matter of vocab, apparently we wear 10% of our wardrobes 90% of the time. I think we do the same with our vocabularies. That's a pretty good comparison, I would say.
I think
What
so.
words were you using when you first? I mean, I use a lot isto, and I point at things and I go isto, and then often the other person says esta. Okay, yeah, yeah, but
Right, right.
at least we've got there. And uma de cada, one of each was always very helpful, except
Okay.
and also quite dangerous as well. What other words would you recommend for people who are pointing at things inside
Well,
Intermarché or anywhere
part
else?
of my strategy around my language learning was based on not based on, but someone else has said it. Learn the language as if your life depended on it.
Yes.
I wasn't quite that extreme, but I went to, what are the words I'm going to need to know the most? What are the
Yeah.
words I'm going to use the most in my day-to-day interactions? So I got the greetings, hello, goodbye, how are you, fine, thank you. I got, and then as I started to go out to order coffee and stuff, Joao F was very helpful. He told me exactly what the coffee was that I needed to order. So now I could, I was able then to order exactly what I wanted and have it be understood. The bread that I order on a weekly basis, I gradually learned. I went from, un pau to un pau de mafra to un pau de mafra compido, and then from that to un pau de mafra compido fatiado. So
Yeah.
each time, like, this is what I want. I was able to specifically order it, and each time, part of the great integration is, and part of the beauty of this sort of weekly ritual of going out shopping is we go to these places fairly consistently. So I get not just familiar with the language and ordering my own, and I insisted on doing that. Louise is always very helpful, and she says, "What do you want?" And I had my own little tickets, and I'll try and figure it out myself. She's, "Oh, okay." So she's like listening when I'm doing it. It's
Yes.
really quite cute. And then I ask her, "How do you say sliced?" She said, "Fatiado." I said, "Oh, okay." I'll try to remember. But then the people in the places that you go, you see them repeatedly week after week, and they start to understand who you are. Oh, he's that American guy who's with the Portuguese people who's attempting to speak English. And,
Yes.
I helped him before, but he stayed in Portuguese. So I will rather, because the pull is to want to help you. They don't want to see you suffering around trying to say what you need to say if they can understand you and speak to you in English. But
Yes.
I was determined. It took time to practice not immediately going to English, because that's the easy way to do it. It's like, if I'm going to learn, I have to stay with the Portuguese, even if they're accommodating my English. So now they don't accommodate the English anymore. They see that I can do it. They understand what I'm up to, and they listen. And then, it's really quite fun. I'm working on understanding the numbers with money. Fortunately, they almost always come up on the register. So if I don't hear it, I can look.
Yeah.
But that's a relatively new one. So, and then ordering my food, at least my salad at Intermarché, I know the ingredients because we go to the Mercado every week, and they have a sign up. It's beautiful. The vendors have a sign that has all the vegetables that they sell in Portuguese, French, and English down a column. So I was learning those words anyway, but I could say, "Oh, what was zucchini?" And I said, "Wait, there's no zucchini on here. What is that?" Because it's British English, right? So the word is courgette,
Of course it is. What is this
which
zucchini thing?
straight across the board. It's French, English, and Portuguese. It's the same word.
What is Portuguese for courgette now? You were asking that or thinking of
It's
that.
courgette.
In Portuguese?
Yes, all three
Yes.
languages. It's the same.
Oh,
So
I've got you. Got you. Yeah.
So when
Okay.
Louisa, I said, "So where's zucchini?" She goes, "What's zucchini? That sounds
What?
Italian."
Yeah,
Yes,
takes us
it
back
is
to our
Italian.
Friday conversation. Yeah,
Yes.
cilantro.
Yes.
Anyway, but let's not be talking about coriander. That does upset people.
No, that was plenty long enough. Yeah.
I
Anyway,
think you've probably got something to say about ego management this morning, and we're crunching our time again. I can't believe it.
yes, there we are. 6 minutes to get it done. Hurry.
Yeah, I think Gilda will be forgiving. We'll find out, of course. But there are a couple of things to bear in mind when you're pointing at things in a supermarket. Pole and pole and pole, and so bread and stick, and also be careful asking for senoras and senoras in the supermarket
Well,
as well.
that's
That could
actually how I remembered Sonora. The word connection. I said, "Oh, Senora Sonora, Mrs. Carrot."
Oh, I
That's all
remember you
right.
saying
Now
that,
I
Mrs.
can
Carrot. That's right.
Yeah.
From James's new book about learning Portuguese by making connections. Maybe we've got an illustrator who could draw up Mrs. Carrot for you. She should be on the front cover, I think, Mrs. Carrot, shouldn't she? That's a great way of learning the lingo. James, so that's almost like your thoughts from the Redwoods foreplay with us there. I think you do have a main event as well, do you not?
Well, I do, and I wanted to say it's interesting. Whenever I look at something I want to focus on, it tends to pop itself right up into my experience. So we're talking about ego, and I made a mistake in my greeting this morning. For some reason, I put quinta instead of segunda in my normal greeting, and I went, "Oh," and I need to go back. And there's ego going, "Oh, I can't be wrong. I can't show." It's like, all right, just let it go. So if anyone noticed that, I acknowledge I made that error already in advance. The other piece around ego that I noticed that I've only more recently begun to really manage, and I wanted to talk a little bit about management, was this phenomenon of being talked over and feeling like I was being disregarded when I wanted to participate in a conversation. I would start to say something, and Louisa especially would just talk over me. She'd just start talking, and she uses the English, because this is in English, of course. She uses the word anyway every time she wants to change the subject and talk about something she's interested in talking about. So,
Sorry.
so I'll be trying to respond. I'll be trying to respond to something she said. She said, anyway, and then she blah, 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 and onto something else. And I never finish the sentence. I try to jump in, and then it's like I'm ignored or talked over. And my ego was just getting assaulted in this, like, you have no space in this conversation, was what ego was receiving. And I realized that Louisa's not the only one. When I look around, I pay attention to other people, and I can get my ego out of it. I see Portuguese people talking over each other, a group of 5. It's like, how does anyone know what anyone's saying? They're all talking. Every single one of them is talking quite excitedly. It's like, how do I can't. So I have just the management, and this is part of what I wanted to get to, is going back to the formula of notice, choose, act. It's the first thing is to notice, ooh, I'm getting upset, or ooh, the energy in me is coming up around, hey, I have something to say, or stop talking over me, or whatever's going on. I'm noticing that energy. So then comes the choice. Well, what do I want to do about that? And at first, I want to say something. And it's like, well, okay, that's ego. Is what you have to say particularly important? It's like, no, but I just want to be a part of the group. So is that important? It's like, well, not really. So really, you could just sit and listen, and that would be okay. I guess so. Okay, well, why don't you do that? Oh, all right, I'll do that then. Right. But that's sort of the process of managing the ego. I had to notice it was up. Then I had to make a choice about it. Then the action I took was just sit back and see if you can understand some Portuguese words, or, whatever is going on. So, and that was very much like keep you waiting. That could be an ego thing. Hey, it's not on the screen. But I learned a long while ago from unfortunately, I can't remember his name, but he was an author, and he wrote an anecdote about waiting or sitting on a bench in a park for a meeting he was having, and the person showed up 10 minutes later than they had agreed, and said, oh, I'm so sorry for keeping you waiting. And he said, what do you mean? And he said, well, I'm 10 minutes late. He says, late for what? He said, well, we agreed we'd meet, and I'm 10 minutes after that. He said, oh, so you're here now? And he said, yeah. And he says, that's fine, because I wasn't waiting for anything. I was just sitting here enjoying the view from the bench. Yeah. It was brilliant. I'm not waiting. I'm doing something, like making a choice to be in the moment now and appreciate where I am, as opposed to that ego going, hey, they're not getting to me. It's my turn, or whatever it is that's going on. That person is late. So
and also the assumption, I suppose, the assumption that we have been a blow to someone else's plans, which is quite arrogant and conceited in its own way, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it can get a little bit touchy, because there's issues of integrity in it for me. For me, if I'm late, I'm out of integrity, because I made an agreement, essentially a promise, to be at a certain place at a certain time to meet someone, and I'm not there. The thing is, then where I get to manage ego around all of that and judgment and everything else, is that I'm always there before they are anyway. So like, if anyone's waiting, it's me, not them. So I get the opportunity to look at, okay, now what are my judgments about them not being here when they agreed? Am I going to hold that against them? Am I going to judge them? Am I going to be better than them and they're worse than me? All these ego things around the fact that I was there when I said I would be. And so it's another opportunity to look at ego from another direction. Like, oh, that's my ego being superior about my behavior over someone else's, which is arrogant. I think that's practically the definition of arrogance. So to me, I said it last week, and I can't stress it enough. I believe that ego is the source of all conflict, from the personal to the global. And so getting that managed, to me, if there's a pyramid of putting the world in order, and it starts with me, the foundation of that, the base of that pyramid, is manage ego. I think that would be 80% of the solution to all the conflict that exists. So that's one because I wanted to talk about it. It's so
And
important.
something magical happens. We'll go to Gilda in a couple of minutes. There's something magical, I think, that happens when you even begin to think that there is this thing called the ego that might be running your life. However you formulate and define that. But the very act of stepping back to observe what might be going on, I think, is a good 50% of the work anyway, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And what helped me in that was really, and this has been progressing over years and years and years, the aspect of it used to be when something didn't go right and it was like a huge issue for me. I started asking myself this question to sort of reset, reboot. In the history of the world, how important is this?
Yes.
You know,
Usually not very, right?
like not at all. It's only
Yeah.
important to me personally, and I'm only one of billions of people who existed in the history of the world.
Yeah.
So that helps give it some perspective. And now more, especially in the part about contributing to a conversation or wanting to be engaged, it's like understanding that my desire to participate, I think, is human. You want to be a part of it, but it's also ego. And if I take a minute to look at that and say, how important is this? Do you really need to say anything at all? Like,
Yeah.
why is it that what you have to say is so important that you're going to get all energized and upset about not being able to say it? And when I look at it, I go, it's not. It's just I
Yes.
want to play with the group. It's like, okay,
Indeed.
well,
Yeah. So I think from our forthcoming another book, Portugal as Personal Development, there is a lovely coming together here of wanting to learn the language, and then of course what can go on when you are trying to learn the language or don't feel like you're learning it very well, or are a part of one of those conversations that you described. And I think we may well continue this theme, James, because we need to bring Gilda on. You were talking about groups of Portuguese people and they're talking over each other. Can you imagine what it must have been like in this situation? Can you imagine? That would have been quite a situation to be in. I don't think you'd have got a word in edgeways there. No offense to
yes,
anyone in particular
it
there.
could have been a very loud room. Yeah, with all those.
I think so. We're going to
individuals.
find out what happened there last Monday with Gilda, but she can't come on until we played her theme tune. Thank you for now, James, with
My
ego
pleasure,
management.
truly.
Ego management special, as ever
There you
on a
go.
Monday morning. Stick
Two
around.
part.
We'll talk to you a little bit more after we've had Gilda join us. After
It's
this,
Gilda P on GMP every Monday morning. Her approach to self is oh so fine and always reassuring. It's Gilda P on GMP every Monday morning.
hola, bon dia.
Bom dia, Gilda.
How's it
Bom
going?
dia. Hi, how are you?
Pretty good. We're just hanging out, having a nice little chat like we do on a Monday morning, and we're so delighted to have your company to join us as well. How did it go last Monday, Gilda?
James, I need you. I have ego problems.
You have what?
Is that how it went last Monday?
Yes,
I didn't hear what kind of problem you had.
Guess
ego
what?
problems.
Oh,
Yeah.
ego. Okay. Don't we all?
Well, it looked like it was going fairly well at this point, Gilda.
Yes.
Yes, and a nice team photo there as well. I was talking earlier on about being in an all-female environment. When I was a school caretaker, I worked with a lot of women, and it is a particular kind of atmosphere. But why? I mean, do you want to go into an ego management intervention right now?
Yes, I want.
Okay, let's do it.
You know, I've been
What's up, Gilda?
giving tips for 2 years now, so now I need James for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, okay,
or
fair
15
enough.
maybe.
We'll just make a cup of coffee. We'll make a cup of coffee and sit it out while you two chat. We promise not to listen.
Okay, so you know what happened? I really need to
No.
talk about this
Clearly.
because
for
I gave this speech, as I told you I was going to give. And I was so naive because I was talking about my dream, which was about and it was about, you know, how to make people achieving their dreams to move to Portugal, and how to make people happy, and how to deliver a customized service. And maybe I was too focused on my dream when I was doing this speech. And when people were listening to it, they were like, okay, we are working for her dream, not for our dream. This made them react and think like that.
Okay. And you
So
got
it kind
feedback.
of, yeah,
They gave you
and
that kind of feedback? Okay.
yeah, some of them, of course, like felt it's a good thing that we are working for that and that we are making people happy. They kind of focused on that part, but some people focused on, okay, it's great, but it's not our dream, so maybe we should follow our dream.
Interesting.
Which I
Yes.
think is true. I mean, if I were going to give advice to anyone, it's follow your dreams. So yes, but I hear what you're saying is that at least some people gave you feedback that it was all about you and what about us? What about our dream? Yeah. So what was your
Yes.
intention when you came up with that speech? I'm sure it wasn't your intention to just spend the time telling them about your dream. What was your intention with your speech?
My intention was to talk about how I started and how I wanted it to go now and in the future. But for that, I wanted to explain them how it started.
Sure.
So it would make sense, everything. But I think I messed up.
Well, maybe. But to me, ego is more about putting yourself first. Like ego is I'm important. So if you're nice to me, that feels really good to me. If you're not nice to me, you're attacking me and I need to defend back. So some of that goes to intention. Like, what is my purpose for speaking? Is it just so that I can be here I am, I'm on the stage, I have a chance to talk about myself? Or is my intention to share my experience in a way that might benefit other people? And I do that in therapy more than I was ever trained to, because I have had a similar experience with someone. And I said, well, this is how it was for me. Is that anything like that for you? So it's a place we can relate as well. And I think that was your intention. And I think that message
Yes,
got
that
across.
was my intention.
Yeah. So I think that got across to probably more people than the people you heard the feedback from who said, some version of, okay, well, that was all about your dream. What about us? That's their egos. What about me is an ego reaction, right? So I think it was Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president of the United States, who said, you can please all of the people some of the time and some of the people all of the time, but you can't please all of the people all of the time. And I think that might have been just a piece of what happened. I think if I had been attending that speech, I would have thought it was amazing and encouraging and supportive and probably even inspiring. It's like, oh, I'm working for this company that's doing those things that came from this dream. That's how I would have responded to it. But then I've spent a lot of time working on my ego too, and I still have a lot of work to go. So I wouldn't. The bottom line is I wouldn't worry about it too much. And if you're ever in regrets or confusion about it, look at your intention. And if your intention is good, you can't go wrong. If you're doing it from the heart, there's no mistakes.
Yeah, but I put myself in their shoes, and maybe if I went to a speech like that, I would think it would make me think about following my dreams. And if my dreams were not that people dreams, maybe I would feel the same.
How inspiring. What you're saying to me is you got people to think about their dreams. That's pretty amazing. Yes. I mean, what? Yeah, great. So I don't think.
Yeah, so I may lose some people on the team on the way, but I got very inspired.
And those will be people who don't share your dream, right? They have a different dream, which is fine. Okay, go get your dream, and I'll look for people who share this dream with me. And so you'll have more people who step into your business who share the same goal and the same dream as you have. So I think you're being, in this case, too hard on yourself. And you are the head of the company, for goodness sake. I mean, if it's going to be about anybody in a company, it should be about what the dream of the person who founded the company and runs the company and is making policy around the company, in my opinion. So I think you have the space to be in that space about what it is you aspire to have this company be as part of your job in leadership.
We are getting some input coming in from others as well, Gilda, if you'd like to hear it. Thank you, James, for that. This is very fascinating. I think it's...
Yeah, thank you. But I was a little bit disappointed.
No, we get that.
I want you to know that I did hear you, and I realize that some of my reaction may feel like, oh, don't do that. You don't be putting yourself out of space. I understand it comes because you care, and that I did hear what you said and your concern, and I understand it.
Yes, yeah, testament to you that you are bothered, and I get that it didn't go quite how you wanted it to go as well, Gilda, and I think that's an opening as well, isn't it? There is an opening, as I think some people are suggesting here. The whole team is rallying around you this morning. I think there's a slightly different angle here, because people definitely share your dream because they want to know about how to migrate to Portugal.
Absolutely,
it's a different agenda here. That's right. It's where things started, but where have they helped to, Gilda? That would be the question I'd ask the team. Darren putting it right back out with the team there. But Gilda, it's your dream that created the company. They can go off and create their dream or support yours. This is the scenario that you described, of course, James. Teams are to support the leader. Wow. And your goal was bigger than yourself. That's interesting, isn't it? I think a lot of people inspired by your vision and approaching it from that angle this morning. Stephen Wells, I'm not surprised to hear from about this. Your vision is important for the business. Use it to engage those that agree with it there. And of course, I imagine you've got a number of missions here. You do have your own vision and mission for your business, and anyone who works with you, I think you, like you do with many people, you want to care for them. And there are some sort of lines here, aren't there, that are being, stepping over back and forth over particular lines here. But I think people are being very direct with you here about the ownership of your vision and how important that is and how people might get with that program or not, as the case may be.
Yes, because I felt this. I felt that this was very important to have this conversation with them.
Yeah.
Because as the company is growing, sometimes you forget how things started and why you start doing these things. And it was very important to call them the attention, why we do it and how we should keep doing it.
Mm.
Because no matter how busy we are dealing with people. And sometimes they seem to forget that. Okay. So my whole speech was about that.
Yes, about what you believe to be important as the founder of the company in terms of your core values.
And what made us different from other companies.
Yeah.
And other law firms.
Yeah. Well, I would say that this is work in progress, but you also go and need to do training days with Seth, perhaps as well. In answer to your, we'll come back to that. Yeah, that's right. No, we will come to all your questions, but this is fantastic. And people are certainly interested in this community this morning, Gilda. You're not responsible for everyone's emotions. And I agree with James that some aren't in their dreams and your speech triggered them. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? From Maxine. That's a good thing. A little wake up if they want. And maybe Gilda's employees have dreams for the company too. In jobs like that, people invest a lot of themselves and want to feel valued and involved, which I suppose is another part of the conversation. And I'm sure you do that too. Being an entrepreneur is about inspiring those in business to feel a part of it. So certainly you were endeavoring to do that. Deborah Davies has been inspired to speak as well. I love it when bosses tell me what their vision is. That way I know which way their moral compass is pointing. If it reflects my values, I'll work for them. If not, I won't. You gave them a choice. My goodness. So this although it didn't go the way you wanted, is what I'm hearing. I think you've created a really, if not, albeit an awkward space. Excuse me a minute. Dr. Bayard, where are you? You've created a space here, and I get a real sense of potential power and inspiration, and people having the chance to really get in line with the company's vision. Now, of course, would you agree, James, that could be quite terrifying as well as the best thing that could happen for the business? I mean, I've got it that that is the best thing, that you run a company, you're inspired by your vision. You wouldn't have started the company 8 years ago, and to have a team of people who are similarly inspired would be amazing. To find that some of them aren't yet, or might not be, although it's quite devastating in some ways because it doesn't feel like a match. It's probably better to find out now, isn't it, rather than in a few years' time when everyone's just pretending to be in line or not even thinking about that.
I agree, and the term was used when I was going into self-employment as a hairstylist. The guy was talking about starting business or being in business, and he said, be prepared that percolation, and that's the word, which means coming up from the bottom, is important. It cleans it out and it strengthens. When you percolate your coffee, it gets stronger and stronger. And when rivers and streams are and lakes are fresh, the water that's percolating into them is replacing old stale water that needs to move out to keep everything alive and fresh and new. So that's just a normal process. And I'm sure you already know this, Gilda, but that's going to happen. People are going to say, oh, I need to go follow my dream, or I guess my dream isn't really in alignment with this. I need to move on, or oh, she's selfish. All she does is talk to herself. That's their own ego going to it. And I don't want to be a part of this. I'll go make my own company. It's like, okay, whatever you need to do. But that percolation is just going to make the business better and better, in my view, because you can get fresh people and more people in alignment with your vision as you share your vision. So I think that's all good, even though it can feel kind of yucky when people are saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel like that.
A bit yucky. Yeah. And a week later, this is how you feel, is it? You're still working with the reaction that you got?
Yes. To be honest, I worked from home the whole week.
Oh, bless you, Gilda.
Because of that? You stayed at home because you were feeling badly about how the speech went? Oh, too bad.
Oh, bless you. Yeah.
What I really get from you beyond this conversation is how much you care. And you care about what people think, and you care about taking care of people, and you want people to be happy. Those are all amazingly positive qualities. If I had a boss, that's the kind of boss I would want. Well, actually, I do have a boss, and I do love that boss. That's me. So there's that ego. I love my boss. We never have an argument. But honestly, if I was working for someone, I would want to work for someone who's as transparent and vulnerable as you are, who leads by example, who speaks from your heart, and your heart is leading your vision. Like, man, what a place to work.
And I want to say that's not easy. It's not easy to be that person who wants to do that. And you could quite easily not do that, because I think many examples of the business world are not like that, because it's kind of easier just to follow a load of rules, isn't it? And the work procedures and so on. And bringing yourself to it as you've done, Gilda, I think is on the one hand wonderful, but also likely to cause upset in the way that you've experienced. So I think it kind of goes with the territory to be heart led. Can when your heart is coming first, sometimes people don't mind too much about crushing it, and that sounds like maybe part of what's gone on. But can we?
But the thing is, because I was so happy, and I think that you saw me. I was so happy.
Yeah.
And it kind of broke my heart.
I understand that. Yeah, we hear you.
Well, I'm reminded of a reading I made called Shambhala, and it was something about the the voyage of the true warrior or something, and they're talking. The author was talking about courage, and he made it clear that courage was not about being the biggest and the bravest and the strongest and going into battle. And he says, courage, true courage is going out in the world with a broken, open heart and allowing people to touch it. He says, that's courage. And that stuck with me forever. I that's one of the quotes that may come up in Slug's quotes. It's difficult to live in a world with your heart open because people are going to touch it and it's going to hurt. I mean, even the positive thing.
You showed up and did that this morning. You showed up and did that this morning. Exactly what James just mentioned there. You are a warrior in that sense, Gilda, to actually share that, to openly, voluntarily. All you needed to do this morning was come on and fix a few migration questions, but you didn't. You showed up big time with your big heart.
I knew you were going to ask about how it went, and I couldn't pretend.
Well, again, that's a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful thing. So we thank you for that, and I think it's a very powerful share that you've offered this morning, and I think it's the beginning of something extraordinary. You know, I understand that the upset that's been caused, and it didn't go the way you wanted to, but from where I'm standing, it's the most wonderful thing to see that you're brave enough and courageous enough to want to operate in that way. And I think that, something new has now started, doesn't it? As soon as you can, I don't know what the right word is, but as soon as you can get a perspective on what's happened that works for you, that is the most incredible and powerful basis, I think, for the future of your company and you yourself as a person, I would say.
And that's a function of time. The other key is patience. Like, feel what you feel, like be with it, understand this is how you feel about it, and then give it time. And over time, that perspective will probably shift. Your company will continue to improve, probably because of that speech, and you'll have a different perspective on it 6 months from now than you do in the moment. I understand the tenderness of feeling like I really put myself out there to try to inspire people, and some people didn't feel inspired. Matter of fact, some people didn't even like it. That can be painful.
Yeah.
So,
but on the other hand, some people liked, and at the end of the day, we had some drinks, and not everything was bad.
No, of course not. But I think that there is something really powerful available to you in your bravery. I think there's that phrase in there: "Fortune favors the brave," and I have to admire. I want to admire and shine a light on your courage and bravery. Not for that moment last Monday where it didn't go quite like you thought, but sharing it again this morning about what happened and how you feel about it, I think is extraordinarily courageous. So thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you, James. You always help me.
There you go. And Jim wants to as well. Look at this, Gilda. You didn't do anything wrong. Not everybody can relate to dreams, and the others will have. So be easy on yourself, as James was saying there. You've been maybe being a bit harsh on yourself. I suspect that is an aspect of your personality. And take note of the folks who could relate to what you said. There you go. They will be out there, says Jim. In the face of criticism, may not have felt comfortable coming forward and have a vision. Having a vision is motivational for many. Amazing. Gilda, also women make decisions by consensus, men by hierarchy. So it sounds like some of the women weren't comfortable in the hierarchical environment, especially being all women there. Getting that across in a speech is difficult. Having best practice days where people share their experiences and understanding of the company vision in a more interactive way may be useful. Using Lego, for example. Pete wanted to know how the Lego thing went. How was that? Did anyone step on it? Okay. Where did we get to? Oh, just had an amazing trip to Portugal. Oh no, okay, that's different. But thank you for being here, Alex. Let's draw a line for the time being under this most amazing situation. There will be a film one day, I'm sure. Also. The vision may need to be repeated so people realize you're serious about this. There you go. Doubling down on the vision. Many will come around. Be easy on yourself. Isn't that lovely? And don't confuse.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Tito. We've got lots of wonderful material from you this morning that we'll come back to before the end of the day. But don't confuse ego with confidence as well. Bless you, Gilda, says Jim. Is there an opportunity to get the group together for a half day to discuss this? Yeah, that's an interesting idea. But when you're ready, Gilda, when you're ready, this could be a great opportunity to deepen all your relationships. Managing people is hard. Forza, Gilda, from Pam there. A lot of people recognizing that it's tough at the top for you, Gilda. Agree with James. You care what they think, and you care so much. You really want to have others share your vision, but you can paint a picture. It's up to others to interpret your art for themselves. And I'm so. Oh look, Jim. I'm so sorry, Gilda. Oh, we're feeling it with you this morning, Gilda. You were such a high last week when you left the show to go to your event. I think it was a long way to fall, and you had prepared so much for your employees. Yeah, that is tricky.
Yes.
It is very difficult to manage others in your own company and far easier to manage yourself. Most people I know with their own businesses find it difficult to expand as not everyone shares your standards. It's harder to live in a world with a closed heart as it's cold and lonely. So that would be worse. As bad as it might feel this morning and last week, that's got to be worse than it living in a world with a cold heart. Carl sent a photo for Gilda. It's in our kitchen. And we told her, oh, he's going to make us all cry, I think, if I share that, which I will, of course.
What?
I'll find it in just a moment. Leah H says, Leah H, don't let them get to you. As your company takes on more employees, you'll probably find that there are always those that are never happy and are critical of the boss, no matter what. Look at this, simply from Jeff. Yes, Forza, Gilda there. You sound a compassionate. Simon says you sound a compassionate person who cares about core values, principles, and people. Great attributes. And M.E. Hassan, Gilda, matter what happened in the never mind what happened in the past. We really love to see you with red lipstick and bright makeup. I think that was in the picture, wasn't it? And focus on the ones who liked it. You met your objective. We are all hardwired to focus 7-1, negative over positive. This may be playing out. There you go. So should we conclude this little bit? Because we probably should do one or two migration questions this morning. But this is in Deagle's kitchen, and I think it's been a useful a pointer, a landmark to guide the family at Deagle's end in Deagle's house. I'm just trying to download it now. And look at that. This is what they have in their kitchen. Everybody over there in Northern Ireland, in Belfast. This is what they have in Deagle's household. There are so many pictures. I'm trying to find this one now that I've just downloaded from Deagle. Sent in this very morning. Hold on a minute. Maybe quick access will do it, because this certainly isn't quick access. Oh, here we go. We found it now. And maybe what happens if you put this up in the office, Gilda? Follow your dreams.
Oh.
How about that? Follow your dreams.
Right out the door.
Stop it, James. Too soon. Thank you for that, Deagle. James, I think your work here is done, my friend.
Thanks. I just want to leave it with one last thing that I talk about being in control, and I don't control anything outside of myself. Their reactions are their reactions. They belong to them. So in truth, it's not about you. It's about how they took what you said and how that interacted with them, that they had their response. And as Jim said, 7-1, if you had 3 people tell you that didn't really work for me, then there's 21 people out there. Well, I guess it's the other way around. But anyway, I did the math the other way, the optimism. There'd be 21 people who got something really positive from it, in my view. So, you'll hear those few, and that's all about them. They're telling you about themselves.
And that's here this morning, I would say, Gilda. In this context, people really got it. People really, I think people really get you in this particular context. And of course, it's different in the work context, isn't it? This is an entirely different, well, not entirely, but this is a different space and a different relationship to you. But I can see that, as Laura P says, being a chief has goods and bads. Just accept it and do not take it personally. That's easier to say.
Yeah, it's easier to say.
I mean, thank you for that, Laura P. I'm not dismissing what you're saying, but it is. It sounds for you, Gilda, that is working.
I'm very sensitive. I take everything very personal. I'm not that kind of boss that it's very hard.
And here
and
is a
just can
Portuguese.
put things apart.
How about this as a Portuguese approach? This is a good thing to happen. Expose the people you don't need, get rid of them. Oh my God!
You're fired. You didn't
That's
like
right.
this? Get out.
Don't share my
No,
dream.
not
It's the
what you
door.
want, is it?
No, that's a bit harsh. I think this is early. We're early in the process here. That may be another thing. You know, like as as James and Jim have said, you know, interesting. The two Jims here with their message of, you know, don't be too hard on yourself and to take your time, and that this might be the beginning of something. And look, just finally on this, then. Oh, maybe. Bell, maybe it's time for stop it, you harsh Dragon's Den types. Being a leader means you share the successes, but you feel the failures more. Now, there's certainly some truth there, right? And sensitivity is a beautiful thing. It motivates change and growth. And I think you opening yourself up like this, as painful as it might feel, I think is extra room for extra strength and courage as well this morning. So, Gilda, thank you for sharing that. And James, we will see you next week, my friend. Thank you very much for being here with that intervention. Where does he send the invoice, Gilda? Okay, all right. We'll see you.
You have my email. You have my email.
Pro bono. How about that? You got a pro bono gift this morning. Cheers, James. Bye for now, my friend. See you next Monday.
Thank you, James.
Oh, Gilda, are we able to do a few migration questions this morning?
Yes. First thing, and very important. CEF is already calling the British to go and do the biometric data to have the resident card.
Okay. All right. So when you say they're calling, what do you mean? It's like the appointments are now available, are they? They're prioritizing it.
Yes, but you need to go to CEF website and make an enrollment there. There is a specific, they say Brexit, and you need to put your email and your data there, and then they will send you an email to go to CEF and to take your data and put your fingerprints to get your resident permit.
Okay, so there you go. Thank you very much for that. Any other updates? We did have a question, and forgive me. I mean, in what's gone on this morning already, we have got lots and lots of comments. So you may, if you do, actually, if what you came here for, which is understandable, it is Migration Monday. If the question you have has been buried now, then do please reassert it. If everyone could just make a bit of space so that we can reassert the migration questions this morning, that would be great. Somebody was asking, I don't think I can find it now, but somebody was asking about the new CEF boss, and they were saying, were they not, that a new CEO for CEF would be in place by the end of the year? Did you hear this, Gilda?
Yes, they are going to until the end of the year. They are going to do what they are talking about for 2 years.
Yeah.
So finally, it's going to happen. At least it seems it's going to happen. They are going to have a new structure there, and we don't know who's going to be yet. At least I don't know. Maybe they already said, but I didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
But it's going to be restructured.
Yeah, okay. And finally, here it was Anna Marie who said that. Any news on CEF replacement by the end of the year? How will this affect the visa process appeal? Will it make it faster? Yeah, that's a great question. Or will the changes slow the visas, residency processings and appeals? Well, they've managed without one for quite a long time, and they've got to allow time for this new person to embed in, haven't they? What do you think it will make any difference at all to the speed? I mean, can it get any slower?
No, of course that all these changes are to make everything faster.
Yeah. Okay. Technically, theoretically, but whether or not that will happen, we don't know. I want them to have a little bit of management by walking around, and go out and take the pulse of what's going on, and hopefully draw people like yourself, Gilda, into the office and have a chat to find out what's going on. I think they should do quite a lot of listening early on in the job. Morning gumpers from Darren, who's been very vocal and helpful this morning. First documents in for the NIF, I hope. Anna will let me know for sure. Just a quickie then on the, not really it is a migration question, but not on visas. Does a transformer really work on American TVs in Portugal? I have heard that this is the case, Belinda, because most TVs don't have motors in them. Not anymore. So you should be fine with just a straightforward voltage converter on that. 10 minutes, going back to what James was saying, doesn't count as late. Not in Portuguese culture, not a biggie. Here we go, Gilda. More help than on ego management. You're not supposed to have it, but you can't live without it. All right, says Mick Jagger to us this morning. I am curious, says James Alban. Thank you, James, for being here. Why does the D7 visa take so long, like 4 months? Do they analyze and study my case all this time? Or is it just, this is a good question, because it could take a lot quicker than this, couldn't it? Or it could be processed much more quickly, especially with all the technology we've got available to us. Is it just a queue? And once they open my case, they take a decision within 30 minutes? That's a good question. What do you think, Gilda?
It's just a queue, and once they have your case, they take 30 minutes.
Because there could be a very brave vision of visa processing, couldn't there? Which, if it was digitalized, these decisions could be made very, very quickly, couldn't they? Maybe that's what the new CEF boss has up their sleeve. Also, I read that the golden visa is taking over 1.5 years right now. Why do they take all this time to process a residence permit? Is it the CEF or is it the embassies? Good questions this morning, James.
For the golden visa, it's the CEF always, because it doesn't go through the consulates.
All right. Thank you for that. Nom de plume. Ego can't be managed. One must supplant a higher inner awareness in its place. What an amazing a community we have. Helping in so many ways this morning. I was never good at making myself heard in a group, and in Portuguese it's even harder. So again, don't give yourself a hard time if you're struggling to be heard in a Portuguese group. In Portuguese, take your time. Calma, tranquilo. Bom dia, Carl, Gilda, and James. Hope you guys are doing well. We're doing great. Shanu, great to see you.
Hello, Shanu. How are you?
Scene has a question for you. Hi, Gilda. Had a great first appointment with Claudia, but haven't funds, sadly, to employ EI yet. So applying for remote workers visas on my own. Can you explain what notarizing documents is, please? What does it mean to notarize?
Well, some of the documents that when you are going to do a process, some of the documents needed to be notarized, which means that you need to go to a solicitor or a notary, and they need to say that this document is a true document according to the authorities of your country, or that this copy is certified and as a true copy as the original document.
There you go. That's what notarizing is, Maxine. Stick around, everybody, until the very end of the show, because we will have a God Squad tip of the day, gentle fitness for Born Verse, and dad jokes, and a Portuguese saying of the day from T-Duck, which we should have done earlier on, but I'm going to hold those till the end of today. What a busy show it's been. Les, on Facebook, there is an endless disagreement about how many months we need to be in the country. This is the problem with these endless discussions and disagreements on Facebook, isn't it? Let's find out for sure from Gilda here this morning. We need to be in the country for the first 5 years pre-citizenship. Is it 6 continuous months or 8 intermittent? You use the word contiguous.
It can be either one or the other.
So that's why there is this endless discussion and disagreement, because both are true there. Let us know if you need further clarification on that, Les Bethke. Bethke, how can you give me a phonetic?
But this can you put the question again?
Yes, I can. I think. Oh my goodness, no, I can't. It's suddenly
okay.
Oh,
so
yes.
I'm going to explain. Yes. These 6 continuous months or 8 months intermittent are for each resident permit. Okay. For each resident permit. It's not for the 5 years.
Oh, for each part of the permit.
Yes, for each part of the permit, not for the 5 years.
I see.
And then, and then for 5 years, which means for the 2 resident permits, one is for 2 years and the other is for 3 years. After 5 years, then you can apply for citizenship.
There you go. Each part of the permit. That hopefully that I mean there will always be these confusions because there are a lot of moving parts with the process. But you know where to come if you want a good answer on these things. Maxine says doesn't have the funds to do the notarizing. Well, it is a professional service, a notary and notarizing documents. So you will have to find the funds for that. What's this? It's where things started, but where have they helped? That could. Oh, okay. This is going back to your earlier situation that you've very kindly shared with us this morning. I'm trying to sort out what's part of that conversation, what's part of the migration conversation this morning. This is part of the migration conversation. Nahid Mohit is here. Could you help us with an overview of what the current status, waiting times, acceptance rates, etc., of the Portuguese consulate in New Delhi looks like, especially in terms with the new digital nomad visa? So, two parts to that. I mean, what's your snapshot at the moment of New Delhi? How's it looking over there in New Delhi, Gilda?
At the moment, they are not opening vacancies for the appointments.
Okay.
So you need to keep checking like every day.
Yeah.
And when you find, you make an appointment.
Yes.
As for the digital nomad visa, they just started the law just started being enforced today. So we don't know what is going to happen, but we just try to follow the law and put the documents that we know that are there.
Yeah. So given that the New Delhi is slow anyway, I wouldn't expect anything too quickly
No.
to happen with the digital nomad visa, Nahid. Sorry, it's not better news for you there. We didn't catch this one at the time, but I think it's important to share it. Guaranteed, Gilda, your speech was excellent. You just remember bits you weren't happy with, particularly, I suspect, the response. If you were to rehear yourself, you would feel a lot different and be happy with it. Yes, we can be very self-critical, can't we, us humans? Coming back to Dale Stanton's question then, why is it so hard to get Seth to answer the phone? Cultural thing,
Because
isn't it?
they don't like to answer, and they know that they don't have much to say, and they don't have vacancy.
Okay, yes, that's why they prefer to keep you at arm's length, perhaps. There, my goodness, great question, Dale Stanton, and that's the harsh truth of it. Okay, any more of these migration questions on Migration Monday with Gilda from A here this morning? Just had a trip to Portugal. It was amazing. I'm finalizing a deal on the purchase and can't wait to start my golden visa process. So allow for the delay there, Alex, as you were hearing about this morning from others. I don't think it was you that said that. I think, yes, other comments and observations about the time it's taking to process the golden visa. Well, all of them, it would appear. This is not a fast process. More people are joining the queue as well, aren't they, Gilda? Are you still seeing a steady rise in interest in coming to Portugal with its various visa options?
Yes.
Every week the same. Okay. Lots and lots of feedback about your situation from last week, Gilda. Lots of love for you here this morning. That's quite amazing what's happened this morning. Thank you for sharing. And back to migration now with Rajiv Mangnani. Abu Dhabi requires a Portuguese rental contract for the D7. The rental contract needs to be valid on the date of submission, or can it start a date 3 months in the future as Oh, yeah. How do you play this game? What would you suggest to Rajiv on this when it comes to when the lease agreement should start?
They will ask to be active on the day that they submit the visa process.
So that's the important thing. So if you hedge your bets a little bit to save a bit of money and you get an early appointment and it's not in place, it's not going to work, is it? Okay.
And that's one of the unfair things in New Delhi. It's that sometimes you have to pay like almost 1 year without living there.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
It's very unfair.
It is unfair. What is the solution? Is there a not a workaround, but what in an ideal world, in a fairer system, how could that be managed, Gilda?
Try to rent a room outside a big outside the
Oh, I
big
see. Just
city.
so minimize your costs and go somewhere a bit cheaper. Okay, so you're not going to be just pouring money down the drain, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. When I apply for digital nomad visa and have taken my documents to the VFS in London, am I able to travel to Portugal while I wait for the visa, as long as I keep a UK address? Well, that's going to be fine. Just do it as a tourist, don't you?
Yes.
Okay, Darren, no problem. Maxine there, hoping for news on the digital nomad visa. You said it started today, Gilda. Why is that? Because it's a Monday. It's a strange date for it to start.
No, not because it's a Monday. It's because it has been when they when the law came out, they said it would be 30 days
Yeah.
from then, and the 30th day was yesterday.
Okay, there
So
you go. All right, but we're still waiting for the rubber to hit the road. And as you said before, it could take a while for these things to filter through. It's only law,
yes,
it's not practicality at the moment. Okay, thank you, James. I think we did this.
yes,
Excellent. I want to apply, says Pulkit Rastogi, for a D7 visa, but my friends tell me it might be better to first visit Portugal on a tourist visa, to come back and then apply for the D7. Also, do I need a D7 if I have a tourist visa? Not quite sure we understand the question. I mean, you can come and are your friends suggesting that, Pulkit, just to check that you like the place? What would you say to that, Gilda?
well, if you want to live in Portugal, you have to apply for a D type of visa,
Yeah.
because D is a residency visa. It can be a D7, a D2, or now a digital nomad visa.
Yes.
But what I think your friends are suggesting is that you apply for a tourist visa first.
Yeah.
But you cannot come under a tourist visa and then start wanting to live here.
Yeah, and I'm making quite a lot of assumptions here, aren't they? That it's not, you can't just rock up on a tourist visa from anywhere in the world, can you? Different restrictions will apply if you're a tourist rather than applying for residency. So, Pulkit, I don't know, maybe we need a bit more background from you on that, your particular situation, where you're coming from, perhaps, if you want to share that with us. Okay. Nom de plume, what's this? Oh, I think we've dealt with that. Thanks, Nom de plume, for helping out in the background as well. Jim White still wants to help with the situation you articulated earlier on, Gilda. We love you, Gilda, and would not be here without you. Your mission and vision transcend the petty and personal and contribute widely to the world. Thank you.
Thank
How
you,
about that?
Jim.
How
Yeah,
about
he's so
that?
sweet.
Well, it's true though, Gilda. I mean, he is sweet, no question about that. I've met Jim, and in real life, and he's an amazing man. And it is true what he says there. And it's isn't it weird? And again, I suppose that's the ego thing that James is talking about. We tend to focus on what is an affront to our egos, don't we, rather than what's truly important here, which I think is important to reiterate as well, Jim. It's transcending the petty and the personal into things that make the world a better place to be. That's what you want to be remembered for, and I suspect you will be, Gilda. So keep going. San Francisco VFS appointment was 9 weeks ago. Do you think we have a few more weeks, months left to wait? Christina, Anna, Carla are amazing. Thank you. Hey. So what do you reckon? How is
One thing that was very funny about the event was that Carla, she's with me for 8 years.
Yes.
She was my first employee, and she was so happy, and she was so supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was. I was very happy that she was there, and she was very supportive to me.
Of course. How many people are in that picture?
19.
19. I mean, that is a big group of people to manage the
Yes,
dynamics.
and
Let alone
and two of them were missing.
Wow. Well, amazing that you got 19 people in the same room together in the way that you did. And yeah, shout out to Carla
Yeah.
this morning. Okay, where did we get to? Jeff's in this morning. Thanks, Jeff. Excited for our consulate appointment tomorrow. Nice one, Jeff. Great progress. Muito obrigado to you, Gilda, and to Christina and Beatrice.
Yeah.
You're an amazing person. So grateful for your patience and guidance along this journey. There you go. I thought the Brexit process was going to take place in cameras, not CEF offices. What do you say to that, Gilda?
Yeah, it's true, but now they put some machines on the CEF office too.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to work on both.
Okay.
So when you fill that thing on the website, they are going to inform you where to go.
That thing on the website being the QR code registration, right?
No, it's another registration. It's just put your mail and your
that's
email and your name.
Okay, so that's another step for all the
Yes.
Brits that change from the crew to the QR code. You now need to go
Yes.
back to the website and make sure you're available to be called in for your biometric
Yes.
card. Very good. I'm not sure we answered this question. We got distracted by Carla, didn't we? The Global Nobles. How's it looking in San Francisco?
San Francisco is taking a little more than expected.
Okay, so
it can be 3 months. So
3 months there. Okay, so there you
12
go.
weeks.
Yeah, roughly speaking, can't offer any guarantees. It's out of our hands, but there you go. There's some sort of guide for you there, Noble Globals. I'm about to apply for a D7 from Nigeria, says Ben, but 3 days ago, the Portuguese embassy in Nigeria stopped accepting all visa applications until further notice. What's going on? What's happening here? What is the digital nomad visa financial requirement? So can you address those two different parts of that one question from Ben, please?
Yes, I've heard about this in Nigeria. I don't know what is going on. Why did they stop that?
Okay. And
it is very recent. And the financial requirements, we don't know, because it's supposed to be on the regulation and it isn't came out yet. But my guess is that it's only the minimum considered on the Portuguese bank account, which is 8,000 euros. 8,000.
There you go, Ben. Yeah. Okay, hope that's helpful. Sorry, we don't know what's going on with the Portuguese embassy at the moment. Nom de plume. So Martin Luther King said, "I have a dream." And what if the crowd said, "Hey, what about my dream? Get off the stage." Hola, bon dia, Gilda, smile. What info?
Yeah, Capricorn. That was for you. I told you were going to be the first one to know. I haven't seen you here for a while.
No, nor have I. What have you been up to, Chris? We've missed you, mate. Carl, the
no, put what he said. What he said.
Okay, all right. Well, I think you already
Gilda smile. What?
Oh, what info? Okay, I think the clue was in smile. You got to have your photo taken. Is it fingerprints as well? Do you think?
Yeah, I think you are going to get an email to go there and to take your biometric data.
By biometric data, does that include a photograph and fingerprints, or a DNA swab, an intimate examination?
No, they have the machine and they take you the pictures and.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Just a picture.
You need to take the passport also.
Have a haircut, Chris. Okay, and maybe put some of that nice. One of Bramblebee's nice beard balms on, or something like that, for that special photo, which will immortalize your registration here in Portugal. Carl, the new boss of Seth, she, the job, they should get up to speed. I don't believe of bedding in for any new job, right? If they need to learn on the starting few months, they are a bluffer. Okay, yeah, fair point. Fair point. They should know what they're doing already, but it is a special kind of job, and they are dealing with a reorganization there. And I think it would be useful to go to the chalk face, the front lines, as it were, and find out what's going on for people who use the blooming service rather than just the bureaucrats within it. Anyway, but point taken, Deagle. I have a question, says Alex. If I want to apply for Portuguese citizenship after 5 years, is it possible to stay in Portugal while applying?
Yes, of course.
Yes. Why would it not be there? I wonder. Pulkit, I think we dealt with that. You were maybe going to give us a little bit more information on your situation there, Joao, so we could help you better. Joao F, love the pictures of the beautiful motor cars this morning, which I showed Joao F, but I think we need a full-length video of your a little put a few of those images and videos together for people to enjoy that properly. The distinguished gentleman's gathering yesterday. Is the new digital nomad visa requirement for people who want to settle in Portugal still €705? Do you have any further updates? Well, Ben, I think we dealt with that when we answered your question earlier on. Didn't catch the start of the show, Joao F, but there seems to be some sort of issue with Gilda's team members. I hope not, but am I right? Well, not quite. It was. Would you want to say quickly to Joao F? Because I'm
not
sure
quite an issue. I just had the speech, and the input was not what I want it to be.
What you wanted to hear. There we go. Gilda, can you explain the difference between notarizing and the Hague apostille, please? As I had to do both on each of my essential documents from Paul Emantega.
Okay, so the notarizing is only, for instance, the bank accounts. Some consulates ask for the bank accounts, and some consulates ask for the notarized copy of your passport. Okay, the apostilles are they would mostly ask for the marriage certificate and the birth certificate. That list you would get for the consulate or for the firm that it's working with you.
Okay, so there you go, Paul Emantega. Still a little bit of confusion about this 6 and 8 month thing, and I suspect long will it continue. But Deborah says, I've no idea what you and Gilda just said about 6 months or 8 months. Brexit withdrawal agreement, people. My understanding is 6 months and 1 day in Portugal, and you can splice up however you like. We're at cross purposes here, weren't we? Because you were talking about the D7 specifically when you answered that question earlier on. For whoever it was that asked in relation to the D7 visa, but 6 and 8 months. I mean, with this particular 6 and 8 business, it's 6 months continuous, or if you do it in chunks, it has to add up to 8 months. That's basically what's being discussed, right, Gilda?
Yes, but that's not only for the D7. That's for any resident permit in Portugal.
Any resident permit. There you go. So Brexit withdrawal agreement, people. Would it apply to Brexit withdrawal agreement people? Do they have to be here in the same way? I suppose they do, don't they?
Yes.
Okay, all right, that's interesting. It never occurred to me because I don't intend to be out of the country for any more than about a week at a time. Okay, Alex from Antonio. Yes, but for sure you need to renew your residence because applying for citizenship does not give you any special rights, and it takes some time. Get a nice passport though. So for 2 years, 3 years, it's only 6 months continuously. Or a total of 8 months intermittently in the first 2 years, not per year. And the same for the 3 year period. Are we getting there, Gilda?
Yes.
Tony Menendez, you got it, mate. Yes, well done. I saw an article on in the Independent UK from Shanu that the Portuguese digital nomad visa is famous in papers across the world, Gilda, is only for 5 months. Is that correct? What's this 5 month thing?
Oh my God, these people mix up everything.
Which people? The journalists?
The journalists or whatever. There are 2 types of digital nomad visas. Okay, one is the temporary digital nomad visa, and this one is for 6 months. And the other is the residency digital nomad visa, and this one is like a D7. You have a resident permit for 2 years.
Darren's got it right then. Darren's got it right, hasn't he? Look, there you go. Those journalists are making it difficult for us, Shanu. So relax there, my friend. I think we're good with that. Joao F. Connor, had a lot of fun at the Distinguished Gentleman's Drive. A great many classic cars there, including some American ones. A Ford A from 1932. Wow, the pictures are fantastic. We will get more to you. This is Alex reporting on his trip. Had a 2-week trip to Lisbon, Alentejo, Porto, Braga, and Jerez. Found a beautiful property in Jerez. Oh, you lucky person!
Wow.
You. Yes, I'm finalising the purchase. Can't wait to start my golden visa process. Just let us know when the housewarming is, please, Alex. If I get the job seeker's visa and convert to a resident visa, how long is the resident visa for? From Darren Live.
It's the resident visa. It's until I think it's the same for everything. It's 2 years.
There you go. Okay, Carla is amazing. Look, your long-standing colleague Carla, very consistent, and thank goodness she is, especially in your case, T-Duck. And I think we need to. It's 10 o'clock. We got to go. I'm so sorry, everybody. I know many people would like to stay much longer this morning with all that's gone on because we've got to create a loved-up atmosphere here. James heckling from the sidelines. Gilda, I invite you to spend a few minutes thinking about all the people who are grateful for your dream, your family, your team, your customers, and so many more. How about that? And anyone who has worked with Gilda and appreciates her work, Could you not do that in the abstract? If you appreciate Gilda's work, can you please send in an email saying, Gilda?
No.
Yes. Actually, Gilda, permit me to do this. Please send. What is it? Too many emails?
No, it's not that. It's James would say, "Stop filling her ego." I don't. I don't need.
It's not about, no. I'm not
I
saying
know
it.
what I did. I know what I did, and I love my clients, and I feel the love of my clients, and I'm okay with that.
Okay, fair enough. Then. All right. If you were starting to write an email, stop it. Stop it right now.
No.
Gilda, when you created EI, you took all the risks, and at the same time, you gave each one of your team members an opportunity to make a living. The UOF's coming in on this as well. If that was their dream, sort of living or not, was their decision, not yours. Each one of them can always take their own risks and try making their own dreams come together. My goodness, it's too ugly to spit on the plate. Where 1-8? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, there's a Portuguese saying and a half this morning. Oh, wow, that's fantastic.
Thank you, João.
Mr. S, just a quick one then before we go. If I, for applied D7 in Boston electronically, no updates so far, no appointments, is tomorrow after 2 months of submission. I don't think, you said 3 months from San Francisco. So it could take a little while. It can take a matter of months, can't it? So Mr. S needs to just hang on in there. Maybe consult with you. Find EI in our directory, please. And if you want some professional representation, maybe knocking on doors for the likes of you, Mr. S, that is probably the thing to do. It is also, it is legally impossible to notarize a passport, and it is already signed and has been issued because it has already been verified by the government. So there you go. Don't let anyone try to get you to do that. Is actually, would you say that's correct? Would you agree?
No, it's a copy, a notarized copy of the passport.
If it's a copy, it needs to be notarized, not the original. And finally, then from XD, I'm so sorry, I'm not going to get to all the comments this morning. It's official. Good morning, Gilda. Carl, can I wait to change my address on my residency card when it expires, since it's hard to get in touch with Seth? That's a very good practical question, XD. What would you say, Gilda?
I think you should email the Seth and try to make an appointment to change the address. And if you cannot get the appointment, when you go there to renew it, at least you show that you tried to change your address.
As I've said before, it's all about the paper trail, isn't it? You might not get an appointment, but at least you've tried and you've got the email to prove it. Fantastic. I'm very grateful for these Mondays, Gilda. How about that? And thank you, Gilda, for sharing your story. And Gilda, final comment then from Darren. EI.
Yes, I need to talk about Darren, because he made a question there about the 8,000 for the digital nomad. Yeah, okay, right. Darren, I'm not sure. This is just a guess of what they are going to ask. This is just a guess of mine. Okay.
Okay, let that be clear to you, Darren. But I do want to share this with you. EI is going to change my life. That's a real thing. That's not a dream. And EI has changed a lot of lives. That's a great moment to end on this one. Are you going into the office later, Gilda?
Not today. Okay. But tomorrow I will.
All right. You just imagine us all there with you. Okay. In spirit on Tuesday, EI HQ. Thank you so much for being here. I think we need to change the atmosphere with a little bit of a rave. We haven't found out how Mandela is.
Yes, but please don't send emails about this to Geral, okay? So my colleagues will see.
Ah! Okay.
If you want to email anything about this, it's to my personal email.
You hear that? Gilda.Pereira at emmigrant.pt. Do you know what, though? I've got a feeling this will be out in the open, and it probably needs to be. I think where you've got to, it would appear, you've bared your soul and your heart with this. I don't think it's probably a good idea now to withdraw and retreat on that. Keep going, double down on that authenticity and transparency and heart-led approach, Gilda, would be my, for what it's worth, would be my advice on that, or suggestion, not advice. No one likes advice today. Okay, have a great day today, Gilda. How is Mandela?
He's fine. He's just taking a nap here.
Is he? So all is well in the world of little Mandela there. Give him a little pet and a hug for us. And we'll shake it out now with the rave outro for you. Have a great week, Gilda. Thank you for being.
Thank you, and thank you for the kind words, everyone.
Absolutely. All right, ciao, bye for now. Let's go. Oh, what an atmosphere this morning. That's how we roll here, folks. And a few more things to deal with. And I know there are unresolved threads just hanging there, which we'll hope to tie together in the beautiful tapestry that is the Expats Portugal show tomorrow morning. But I can't go without sharing with you the God Squad tip of the day and some dad jokes. Let's refresh the palate with a few dad jokes this morning from Ian from Coach Turner. Continuing the focus on balance, hopping is a great way of helping while also strengthening your ankles and calves and looking like a complete lunatic in the house when someone walks in. Just small hops to start, then build up over time. Both legs. When you do both legs, it's jumping. Oh, I see. Alternate one to the other. Fantastic. I'm seeing here, Trevor, I'm so sorry. I missed your question. Please email that in to Gilda or come back again next morning. I'm really sorry about that because you were in early, but then you saw what happened this morning. And you, truth of it all, apologies to everybody whose comments and questions I missed this morning. But you saw what happened with your own eyes. Deep thought of the day then. Can this redeem me in any way? Deep thought of the day. It's a far gone lullaby sung many years ago. Mama, mama, many worlds have I... Sorry... Robert Hunter, can you make this a bit easier for me? It's a far gone lullaby sung many years ago. Mama, mama, many worlds I've come since I first left home. Deep thought of the day. We've all come a very long way, haven't we? And all facing all those trials and tribulations, just like the one Gilda shared with us. Robert Hunter was an American lyricist, singer, songwriter, translator, and poet, best known for his work with the Grateful Dead. How about that? Portuguese saying of the day. Não se caçam lebras tocando tambor. Drumming is not the way to catch a hare. Avoid the wrong approach to doing something. Don't climb trees to catch a fish. Well said. Dad jokes, then you have been warned. I saw a sign that read, watch for children. I thought, that sounds like a fair trade. I put my grandma on speed dial. I call that Instagram. And in 1910, Freud was old, but his student was young. Ow. And a bonus, rolling out of bed on Monday is easy. Getting up off the floor is hard. And that's why, my friends, you should take advantage of the free tips given by Coach Turner when it comes to growing old disgracefully. You've been amazing. What a show it has been this morning. We'll leave it right there at 8 minutes past 10. Wishing you a great day and a great week. And we'll see you again tomorrow for a bit of Consumer Tuesday action. Take care. Bye for now. And yes, of course, remember, just as Gilda did, although the results weren't quite as she anticipated, isn't it important in this world of ours to lead with your heart? And you know, even though it might not go quite as you hoped in terms of reception, you know that you have been authentic, deep, and true to yourself. And what better way to be in this world than that? Have a great day. Bye for now.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, you gumpers.